Hello, welcome to Toffee TV. It is match day. Yeah, and we are we looking forward to the game tonight? I don't know, I'm asking you.
Am I looking? No.
No? Why is that?
I'm still fuming over. I'm still fuming over yesterday.
Why were on yesterday?
Kids footy. I'm still got a cop on.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Important.
No.
It's more important.
I feel go on then, because I feel like you need to get this off your chest.
3-0 up. Penalty. Zach missed the penalty. Underside of the bar out.
No Easter eggs for Zach.
And then 2 minutes from the end, conceded 2 goals. Very Everton, Newcastle in a cup game. Stuck in my throat. Should have been 9-3.
Is Zach to blame?
He blamed himself. I just don't understand why he didn't just put it with him. Doesn't come
gone full of car against West Ham, wasn't he?
Just blazed it. He was. That's it. You know what? I nearly said something and I won't. I'll tell you after.
Doesn't he ask play for you?
But it was frustrating.
That's fair enough.
And Saturday, following on from Crystal Palace winning in injury time and things like that, went over the, Bournemouth. How did Bournemouth win a football game?
Well, they beat Liverpool as well.
Well, they did, yeah. But, come on.
They've won the last 2 home games. Teams win games of football.
They did.
Don't let it worry you.
No, it's no. You asked me if I was looking forward to the game. No.
And you answered a completely different question.
No, I'm not.
Fair enough.
I will be probably later. Just right now, I'm not trying to think about it, to be honest.
I don't mind thinking about it. I'm not really that fussed, to be honest.
It's true.
I'm not worried at all by tonight. I think when your football club's facing an existential crisis, I
think, you know what? I think that's more than what it is. I think there's just so much to worry about that. Even a game, it's just like
it's like Mr. Burns, isn't it? With the door, with all the ailments that none of them can get through, and it's maybe it'll make the club stronger. I don't know, but
I hope so.
Listen, it is what it is, isn't it? We're back in the bottom 3, but if we won tonight, I think we go to 13th. So
13th.
So it is what it is. As I said to someone over the weekend, using my amazing intelligence, if we win games, we stay up. So you need to.
That is intelligence.
That's it.
That is your level.
If you want to sit there every Saturday and Sunday and watch other people's results and be fuming about it, then I think you're just going to tear your own hair. If Everton win games of football, enough games of football, they'll stay up. Yeah. It's as simple as that. No, if Everton win 4 games of football and draw 2, Everton will stay up as far as I'm concerned. So, and we've done all right now last 3 games. We've got a tricky one tonight, and we've got a tricky one on Saturday. But it is what it is, isn't it? You reap what you sow. The same as off the field. We finally got the books. Chairman Bill. Told us how he felt. His picture went back up on the wall at Goodison today. Good timing as always,
did
Everton. Yes, it did. They put it back. Because why wouldn't you put it back up on a match day when you've got thousands of people coming who absolutely detest the man? It makes common sense, doesn't it? Or you could put it up tomorrow when Everton haven't got a game for 2 weeks and no one would notice.
And we might have won.
And we might have won. No, all about him again. All about Chairman Bill again. Who is that? He said he'd had good times. He said Crystal Palace and Leicester were good times. He said he'd had them. That was the proof. And what are you all complaining about? And you know what? He might be right. They might be good times compared to what's coming down the road.
Yeah.
Because from those set of... I know, listen, we all knew we were going to be at a loss. John Blaine had literally told us on the Monday before the figures. We knew Richarlison was in there. We knew what the situation was. And it's still... you still go, for fuck's sake. There's always the fine detail, isn't it? Of if the owner decides to take his money away, you are absolutely fine.
We've known that all along now, haven't we?
This is the crux of it, isn't it? This football club doesn't make any money, doesn't know how to make any. I mean, I think it went up to £3 million last year, which is abysmal to go up £3 million when you think about what had come before it with COVID and everything. Highest paid person on the board earns £868,000 a year, so there'll be no need for a second mortgage bill. And yeah, the club is clearly run abysmally. Continues to be run abysmally. No one is prepared to change it. I applaud the owner for putting his hand in his pocket again, because it looks like he's put another 70 million in, I think it was. But you're literally just throwing it into a pit that you created, because you won't change the people who run the club. The number that baffled me was, though, 115 media staff. What did they all do?
Might need 115.
What did they all do? Are they all pitch side trying to make the tunnel access videos or something? What are they all doing? 115. Absolutely incredible. So we're hoping to get John in to do a video on it. And you know, he was here last week, obviously with Baz, a couple of times. We went live, and then there was one on Premiere as well on Friday. But we'll try and get him in again to dissect it. He'll have gone over the numbers with a fine-tooth comb, but yeah, it's not great. It's not great, is it? And all it does is, I mean, it leads to stories and headlines, doesn't it? You know, the Daily Mail running with relegate them now or send them down
Tim,
now,
isn't it? Tim?
I know we know who it is, and he's obviously got bullied at school by an Evertonian or something.
100%.
But this whole, like, a back page team. I mean, what I found extraordinary about that, I was watching Sky Sports News have a 10:30 now press thing, a couple of people from the press, and it was funny because they were talking about, obviously, this FFP commission that we're facing, but they were so they were so certain that we were going to be found guilty, and they were so certain that we were going to face a points deduction. That was the other side of it as well, which just made me laugh, because it was like, there was a fire and they were just throwing petrol on it, and I was like, well, number one, we might get proved innocent, but number two, there's absolutely no proof that we're going to get a points deduction. No. Nothing whatsoever. I mean, there are big steps before you get to that, but absolutely incredible.
But that's the headlines, isn't it? Yeah. The headline is points deduction for them. That's what they want. I don't think it could. I don't see it applying this season anyway. Even if Everton were, because Everton are just appeal it, which strikes it on. Yeah. And then it just be next. Well, in my opinion, if they were to get worst case scenario and it was a points deduction, I think it'd just be from next season anyway.
Well, the other side of it, I think, was the fact that they said that the Premier League think that it'll be sorted, but the Premier League don't do it. It's an independent commission. The Premier League might have their side of the argument ready by the end of the season. They might have their evidence in place, but it doesn't mean Everton will. Doesn't mean Everton will. Everton. This is what Man City are going to have. I mean, theirs is obviously a lot larger, so they're going to have them tied up for a lot longer. But to be fair to both journalists that were on, both journalists did say they expected it to be tied up for a very long time. So
City,
no, Everton.
Oh, Everton.
Yeah, both of them. I think it might have been John Cross, and I think the other one was the guy from ESPN. Yeah. So, and they were like, don't see this happening anytime soon. This is going to be something that takes a while. So fair play for them for not being sucked into Mathew as well. But this is where we find ourselves, isn't it, as a football club? And all you can hope for is wins, isn't it, tonight? Hopefully 3 points, and yeah. It's obviously, listen, teams are going to win, aren't they? Palace obviously won. Kept Leicester down there. They've now sacked Brendan Rodgers. Obviously, Bournemouth got the win against Fulham. Obviously, they without a couple of their best players after what happened at Old Trafford. Forest and Wolves 1-1. That's a good result. Yeah. Leeds obviously getting spanked by Arsenal. West Ham obviously got the win against Southampton. So, yeah, it's up to us. It's up to us. A win tonight, and we are 13th, and people will look at us and go, God, they've won 2 and drawn 2 in their last 2 games. They're on a really good run, and let's hope we can do it.
Yeah, I mean, Spurs, difficult game for us always, isn't it? It's 11 years since we last beat them, or 10.5 years at home in the league, so it's not a fixture that we win a lot at home. But we need, in my opinion, the points. We need the points more than they do. I know they're in, battling for the top 4 and all that, but ours is a huge need, and we've got to want it more than they have. They're in a little bit of, I wouldn't say crisis, because on the crisis, but they're in a bit of a sticky situation. You obviously just sacked Conte. Patrici is in all kinds of trouble. The director of football, the murmurings came on. There's a lot of unrest there actually on a much higher level in terms of where they are in the league. So for our perspective, you're always wary saying this, but this might be a good time for us to face them tonight. And it's gonna, in my opinion, we're gonna have to play the same kind of game we did against Arsenal. We're gonna have to battle and scrap and fight for everything, the crowd, all of that, and hopefully get in front. If you get in front, you've obviously always got to watch Harry Kane, but if you get in front, get over the line tonight, I think it'd be a huge result for Everton if they won tonight. Big win. And that should give them the confidence. Then United were dreadful yesterday at Newcastle. They're not exactly in tremendous form.
No.
Going to Old Trafford. So, and at least you know what you've got to do in them games. You expect them to be on the front foot. You don't have to be wide open and give space up for them, because you're trying to attack and be the attacking side. So I'm sure Dyche will have a way of playing tonight. He'll know what he wants to achieve and how he can do it. And so far, in general, they've been quite good. Really, only really Arsenal, and even for 40 minutes in that, it was okay, wasn't it? Obviously Liverpool was a different thing, but I don't. Whatever team we take to Liverpool, we just perform like that. It seems, no matter what, really.
Yeah, we were just rubbish in that game.
And it was early as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one of those games, wasn't it? It was one of those games where we didn't have a striker really hard. We had Ellis Sims up front on his own. He was really poor that night, and we just didn't have anything.
Big ass though, wasn't it?
No, that's it.
Second start.
No, we didn't have anything to hurt him. We didn't have anything to hurt him that night. That's all.
And let's be honest, we played our downfall, didn't we? Our own downfall for the 2 goals. The 2 goals were really poor. So we'll see. Listen, we'll see. It's gonna be tough tonight, but work hard.
Yeah, these Spurs they've got Kane, obviously. If you took Kane out, you'd look at them and go, they're all right. Not amazing. Obviously, Son's a good player as well. But I think for us tonight, it's making sure we don't lose the ball in the middle of the park.
Areas,
and allowing them to counter-attack us.
Well, think about
getting us on the transition.
The game down there, when Lampard was in charge early in the season. I mean, we could have been 2-0 up at half time. It's 2 sitters, didn't we? And kept Harry Kane relatively quiet for him. And then obviously we can see the penalty and he scores from it. So, and then, they got a second one on the break, didn't he? Killed us off. So, it's up to us that we can beat anyone at Goodison. We know this with the crowd and you battle and scrap and energy and all of that. We can beat anybody. It's a tough place for everybody to come, and we have been very, very good of late. So, it's up to us now, isn't it? Toby on the super chat says Kane has beat Rooney's record. Is it a conversation?
Is what a conversation?
Which? Is Kane better than Rooney? Was that the conversation? Or is there a different one, Toby? Give us just a little bit more.
I don't think Kane is anywhere near as good a footballer.
He's not. I love Harry Kane. He's a brilliant footballer. Brilliant.
Is Alan Shearer a better footballer than Wayne Rooney?
Has Alan Shearer better football than Harry Kane? No, not as a footballer. As a centre-forward goal scorer, yeah, he was, but not as a footballer. Kane was much better. Rooney was unbelievable, and Rooney could play for them anywhere, score from anywhere, play across anywhere across the front line, play centre mid, play anywhere, Wayne Rooney, and did do. But Harry Kane is tremendous, like, don't get me wrong. Yeah. The Blues said, not specifically on about you guys, but the way everyone looks back on the derby like it was a disgrace. Both had 2 big chances, didn't we? No, I just think, like I said, I was on holiday and it was the first one I didn't watch. I just didn't watch it. And first one for 15 years, I think, or 16 years I hadn't watched or been at. And I think going into it, Liverpool were in poor form, and I think we were hoping that we could bloody the nose a little bit, even if we might have even lost the game. But just judging by the performance and the way people spoke about the performance, it was disappointing. The 2 goals were the disappointing thing for me. It's just really bad goals, but you have them, don't you? You have them. Arsenal was more frustrating because we were in that game when we made 2 stupid mistakes, and in the second half, we almost just give it up. But that happened. It was early on in his, in the manager's tenure, and it's been much better since then, hasn't it?
No, I had to think then that, no, going back to the derby, we were a disgrace in the derby. Go back to watch my video. We were a disgrace. The players give up. Nothing to do with Sean Dyche. Nothing to do with Sean Dyche whatsoever. The players give up that night. But that was then. This is now. Nothing to do with Dyche at all. It was just on the players. The players give up.
Toby says I'm Rooney all the way. I just think English media hypes up Kane more.
Because it's now,
it probably is now. I think if Rooney was now, the hype would be even more, isn't it? It's gone up. Don't forget, it's been cranked up over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Everything's world class this and even no matter what they're doing, it's just the way it is, isn't it? But Sophie says, hey, Mathew has gone and bought a Spurs shirt for something. He probably will have. Dancing around in his Spurs bills. Classic Matt. Classic Matthews. James says, we win our next 2 or 7 points off Chelsea.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, win our next 2.
But bet anyone would have taken that at the start of the season.
Villa are like 2 points behind Chelsea now, aren't they? Incredible.
That was mad Saturday, wasn't it? Like Chelsea 26 attempts at goal.
What do you think
Villa 4.
Potter getting sacked?
I think it was. It was a mad fit at the start because Chelsea just don't.
Yeah, he's not somebody that you look at and go, he'll bring us instant success. No. Just doesn't work. You're building
with him. There's a process, and eventually when he gets it to where he wants, it works really well, and it looks great. But if anything, De Zerbi took Brighton on from what
he has. Yeah, 100%. He's made them a much better team than they were under Potter. But I do feel sorry for him because I mean I don't feel sorry for him because his contract is unbelievable. But I do think what I don't like about the whole thing is the media circus surrounding it. Like obviously everyone has to have all the, national radio stations and everything, disgrace, get them out, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, you set them up to knock them down, don't you? I know that's been the long-running thing in this country for years, but Graham Potter's a very good coach and needs to work in a certain framework, and they took him out that framework, and they were trying to build that framework around him. They give him a brilliant contract, and you've got to be looking to do the long term, and I know that. Listen, if you're not looking to do the long term, like Chelsea tend not to do, then that's fine then. But don't give him the job in the first place. And I just think it's just, of course, listen, managers have cycles. No, but Rodgers gets sacked yesterday. And Rodgers could easily still walk into a top job because he's had the cycle. He had Leicester going really well. Then you got COVID. Financial situation changed for the club. He made mistakes which he'll learn from. Things like he should have let Tielemans go and replaced Tielemans. He shouldn't have kept on to a good player. But then he might have looked at it and gone, you know what, we were promised. I'm not getting any of this money if I'd sold them, so I might as well keep him. I've got to think. But he'll walk away. He's done his cycle at that club. And sometimes that's the way it happens now in football. He's done amazingly for Leicester. He's one of their greatest ever managers. You know, he's got them 2 5th-place finishes, got them the FA Cup, and they genuinely have had good times under him. All right, it hasn't ended brilliantly. He's lost players, he hasn't replaced them well. But that is a cycle in football. That is a proper cycle. Whereas Potter, he's been set up to fail. Yeah. And to me, you do start looking at it and thinking, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? Like, what is the point? And I understand Chelsea be looking at the situation thinking, if we don't win the Champions League, we're not in the Champions League next year. But that's life. That's a hit that sometimes you have to take. Look at Arsenal. Arsenal absolutely flying. When I got a manager, trusted him, stuck with him when people told him to sack him, fans included, and they've stuck with him, and they've got a really good chance of winning the league. Whether they win the league or not, who knows? You know, it might come down to what they get from the Etihad. But they stuck by him. Now, I just don't know how long this cycle can go on in football, because ultimately, Chelsea, just by their power within the game that the rest of us, a lot of us don't have, will find their way back to the top 4 sooner or later. You know, even if they do action. But who did he go and get now? Because I'm scratching my head thinking, all they're going to do is go back after someone that they may... Like, it would not surprise me if Chelsea went back for Mourinho. It just wouldn't surprise me. Knowing that how that club works and how Big Ted Bundy hasn't really got an understanding of footy. I understand if people go, well, if it was your club, I'd be like, well, yeah, I get that, but you haven't given this fella you've invested in massively an opportunity to really get in, get amongst the players. And ultimately it'll be that thing again of player power. Oh, we don't like the way this fella plays, so we're gonna make some noise about it. To me, it's where does it end if we keep on doing this? If clubs keep on doing it, and I know I sit here as an Everton fan looking at the situation, but I just find it mad. Find it mad at times how football clubs work. All that money.
Wasn't it 21 million to get him out of Brighton? Wasn't it, him and his staff? And 6 months later, you sack him.
Yeah. And you've got his staff as well. So you're trying to build this framework, and it is crazy. It is absolutely.
The thing is, they're all right. They're not where they want to be in the league. Still in the Champions League. You just give them. You know, they've got a game on Tuesday. They've got a game against Liverpool tomorrow, haven't they?
Tomorrow, yeah.
You know, and you're chasing the manager.
And they could go and get Nagelsmann, let's say.
Well, that's who they want.
But then Nagelsmann will... Does he strike you as an instant manager as well? I don't know. I don't know if he's done enough. Bayern have just chased him because they're not happy with... And they were second in the top now, because obviously you're back to Dortmund.
They've done the normal.
And they'll win the league, and you're just like, what? I don't... For me, I don't quite understand the pressures, because at the end of the day, right, whoever goes in has to win the Champions League for them to get in the Champions League next season. And it's like, that's a ridiculous amount of pressure. That's stupid.
Who's going to take it?
Just
Nagelsmann. There's no point going and getting Nagelsmann now. Don't go and got to win the Champions League. There's no point. The chances are he won't win it.
It's mad.
So then what? You chase him in 3 months. That's not going to happen. If he goes there, it'll be the summer. So therefore the caretaker, and it will who's available, who's your caretaker, he will take it till the end of the season. So that's what they normally do.
I understand.
Let's give it to Frank.
People go, well, it's not your club and all
Frank
that.
Lampard.
Yeah. But and it's not necessarily they sacked him, it's the whole thing around him. It's the fact that they've probably invested 200-300 million pound into him and those players. And I know the players will stay. And
600 million in the last 2 windows.
It's mad. It is mad. It's just stupid the way football's going, because they're all chasing the same thing, and there's only a few places, and they're all and it's just really, really stupid again. It's just a stupid bit, and you wonder why the big clubs are crying poverty, because they're all stupid. They're all absolutely stupid. They're all terrified of missing out on something like we'll miss out on the Champions League. So what? You'll miss out. So what? Don't have yourself in a situation where missing out isn't the end of the world, and come again next year. These football clubs are just pathetic.
That is mad. Jack says, good afternoon, hope you well. I saw a graphic the other day about how the table has changed this season, and noticed we haven't once been in the top half this season, apart from before a ball was kicked alphabetically. Do you think that's the first time it's ever happened? Don't know, to be honest, Jack.
Probably.
Also, can't believe the timing of the photo of Bill being put back up a Gulshan. Tom says no one can still have a single good word to say about Bill Kenny, can they? No. It's at a stage where he's blatantly taking the personal laugh. Let us know. I despise the man. Jay says, how do we feel about Leicester change of manager? I personally think they've shot themselves. I
actually, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. With Leicester, because I don't know who you get to go in. The thing is, you look at them. The goalkeeper have said all season's not good enough. Defensively, they're all over the place. But they do have good footballers, midfield, and they've got good attacking players. Yeah. Scored a lot of goals. It's just that they can't. Defensively, they're terrible. And it doesn't take anyone with a brain cell to work out where the issues are. Yeah. You can see goals for fun. Yeah. But Brendan Rodgers knows. I thought last year he'd come to the end of his cycle there. Yeah, there's a different football club now. They haven't got money. They're doing things differently than the way they were. So maybe they should have changed them in the summer. But now, with 10 games to go. But their managers, clubs do it. They're looking, they're not winning. They haven't won in 6. They're probably thinking, we've got 10 games to go. It's dead tight.
Shakespeare's for the rest of the season.
Craig Shakespeare.
No, they're obviously gonna try and knuckle down now. I think he's made mistakes in the market massively. But I just think about it and think, like, when you look at it and think, again, you're looking at maybe a different era, but it's like, it reminds me like the Moyes situation when you might have 3 good seasons, and you might have a bad season, and then you might have another 4 or 5 good seasons, and then have a bad one. But it's what I look at Leicester and think, what are your ambitions? What are your genuine ambitions? Because, okay, if it's not to fall out the Premier League, then fine. I understand to a point you're worried, but if you, it's just again, you look at it and think, well, who are you going to go and get? Is it just a case of? Listen, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. It might be one of those where the fella might have been agitating because he's not getting things his own way, because they're not spending money. They've sold Fofana, wasn't it, to Chelsea, things like that, which he might have been like, no, I want to keep him. They've gone, no, 90 million or whatever, you can't. So he might have been agitating in the background. There might have been friction. Things have changed. Their owners just don't have the money anymore because of the COVID situation. I just think, like, to me, again, like, you scratch your head. I know it's other people's clubs and they've got every right to say, what are you talking about? But this strikes me like a little bit like the Spurs situation with sacking Pochettino. Just getting just, again, going. And listen, we've done it. There could have been some in ours where we could have gone. Yeah, whether it be Silva, whether it be Allardyce, Koeman even. But when you're in that moment, it's hard as a fan. But that's why you employ people at the football club who aren't emotional, who don't react that way, and maybe take a step back and go, if we ride this out, You can get to the summer and start putting some of those wrongs right. And you look at the Potter thing in the same way. It's all. No one seems to look at it and go, well, if we get through this tough spell, we'll get this sorted in the summer. Yeah. We'll sit down, we'll look at it.
Plan it.
It's the Premier League's become so volatile that it's like for 5-6 clubs, it's Champions League or nothing. And basically for the rest of us, it's about staying away from the relegation zone. And if you get sucked anywhere near it, then you've got to make a change. You've got to go more defensive to make sure, and without thinking, well, what happens after that? So, yeah, and especially this late in the season as well, really does. It really does make me wonder where we're going though. Where I know there'll always be managers and there'll always be opportunities for people, but we sat on the couch on Thursday on Premier and on the Round the Tower, and you asked the question about should Everton be putting a system in place where they're trying to create good coaches or good managers, and you're thinking that might have to be the system soon for these clubs, a conveyor belt for the next one. Chelsea going, well, who's the next one, and who's the next one, and we big advocates of if anyone's there's a documentary called Trainer, German documentary, shows how to do it in Germany. We're going to have to put systems in place like that in this country and at our clubs to try and create better coaches and get them into the game faster. I mean, we've seen has he gone to Bayern Munich?
Anthony Barry. He hadn't over the weekend.
See, Anthony Barry's an interesting one because I know for a fact a couple of years ago Tranmere were trying to get him, and he was like, "No, I'm the money's not exactly where I want it from what I'm on at Chelsea." But he should be in the game. Do you know? I think he should be a manager in the game already, ready to take that next step up. So that almost, and you think about it, someone like him, if he'd been given the opportunity to go somewhere as part of a system, knowing that he could be the next Chelsea manager, because he's just left Chelsea, and Chelsea could have been like, to be honest, I don't know if he has left Chelsea.
Well, they're in the process, aren't they?
But from the talk within the game, he's someone that is looked upon as someone who could be a top manager. But why aren't Chelsea giving him the opportunity, or why haven't they put something in place to make sure that, like you spoke about last week, that he's done all the work now. He's gone somewhere for a couple of years, done a job, and is ready now to take over and could be the next big good Chelsea. And you think, and these things I think really have to start being looked at in football. Otherwise, we're just going to go round and round and round, sacking, and going back to the managers that we. And everyone's a risk, aren't they? Everyone is.
Everyone is. And you've got to, like you say, what's the end game? Is it to win the league? Only one team can win the league, so it's a Champions League. Well, there's only 4 teams can get in that. So what is it? What is it? You have a situation where, doing something and the Redmen are recording, and it's like some of them, if we don't get in the top 4, I don't want to be in Europe because it'll stop us winning the league next season. You've got no chance to win the league next season. But so there's European competition you don't really want to be in if it isn't the Champions League. But it's a chance to win a trophy in Europe. So you'd almost say, well, if we can't get in the top 4, then we don't want to finish 5th, 6th or 7th. Yeah. So what, you're happy with 8th then? Okay. All right, well, if that's your ambition, 8th. So it's 4th or 8th and nothing in between. Yeah. What is the ambition of the rest of the Premier League? I mean, this season's weird, isn't it? You've got such a gap from, I think it's Aston Villa. So if Everton were to win tonight, Everton would be 13th on 20... How many points have we got? 25, 26. So we'd have 29 points, would we? Is that right? We'd have 28 or 29 points. And Villa have got something like 42 of they, or something like that. One place above us. There's a huge gap between it. So there is basically like a top half and a bottom half. And I think I've seen something at the weekend, the first time in, might even be the history of the Premier League, where there was no teams in the middle who were on between 35 and 38 points. Everything was above it or below it. Which is just such a weird season. So when you're setting your aims for the season, nothing's ever done with a contingency of, this manager might, Graham Potter, like we They fell out with Tuchel. He left in September. They went and got Potter, the next bright young thing. Are we going to invest in him? Yes, apparently. So they invested in and brought other people from Brighton in, recruitment people from Brighton in, put it all in place. And then he's sacked 7 months later. Brendan Rodgers is slightly different. He's been in post for about 4 or 5 years now, but he's had an FA Cup win in there. They've been in Europe. At times they've looked good. Like you said, it might be a cycle. He might just be at the end of his time at Leicester. Fair enough, that might just be the way it is. But then do that in the summer.
The thing about Leicester is they are, and you look at West Ham, they're the same. They are victims for chasing it as well, aren't they? No one can stay with that 6. So to get anywhere near the 6, you have to spend. And that spending can't continue, especially with the FFP over 3 years. So you have to almost take a year off spending. And the Premier League eats you alive. And we've seen that with Leicester, and we've seen that with West Ham this season. And West Ham are in Europe this season, that's what makes it mad. But Leicester missed out on Europe twice. Champions League, on the final day. By just not quite having enough over the line. Won an FA Cup, but they are victims basically of their own success as well, because it just takes a toll on you. You have to spend the money to keep up, and again, none of us, and this is just fact, none of us will be able to keep up with that top 6, which apart from Newcastle because of the money. But no one else is going to be able to keep up, and that's and I suppose for someone like Chelsea, what they're probably worried about is, and they shouldn't really, because it should be Spurs, is they're thinking, going, well, it's a 6 now, it could become a 7. Are we the one who's going to drop out? And I think that if that could be, I mean, there's talk that they could face the same issues we're facing, especially with the way their ground is as well. I mean, they've got real problems, Chelsea, with their ground, because they can't afford to buy. They either have to knock down and rebuild, but they can't build anything like a Emirates or clearly like an Old Trafford or even like an Anfield. They just don't have that kind of space, I don't think. But there's nowhere in West London they can afford to buy anyway because the land's so expensive. So I suppose for them, they're in a real crossroads, because they're looking at the situation. They've got to get it right every year, because someone will drop out. I mean, like top 4, I mean, 6 could become 7 if Newcastle get it right. I mean, they're getting it all right this year so far. So it's Spurs you would look at, but then Spurs have got the stadium, and Spurs have got the money they're building off the stadium, and they haven't won anything, and have got in the Champions League, not every year, but they are just riding that success of having the money and the NFL, and they've got like that. It's almost like a counter plan, isn't it? We don't win things, but yet we've got NFL here, and that's bringing us the money, and it's so interesting. But the rest of us, none of us can keep up. None of us can try. None of us can. We can have. You've got your Brightons of the world and stuff, and Brentfords, but that can't last forever either. That'll be a cycle, because someone, like with the Potter situation, someone will come and take your people. It doesn't last forever. Danishworth obviously went to Newcastle. They brought the next one in, but it only takes one chink in the armour, and suddenly, because look at Southampton. Southampton thought they had this cracked. Bringing players in and then selling them off, and they were selling to everyone to Liverpool, and then suddenly everyone gets onto it. I mean, there's talk today that Newcastle were trying to get their head of recruitment for the academy, but apparently Everton are trying to get him now or something. That's the story out there. So
from Southampton.
So at some point, people will look at Brighton and Brentford and go, well, if we can't beat you, we'll just take all the components off you. We'll take your manager off you. We'll take Ivan Toney off you. And know the guy who sits on Football Manager all day, we'll just take him off you, like they do in Moneyball. Who's that fella over there? I forget your players. I want him.
I'll have him.
And that's the sad thing. These people have got the ability to come and rip the heart out of your club. And Toby Larone says Chelsea have a lot of people on the consortium. No, they have, mate. Listen. It's not about money. It's not about money. It's about money we've seen already with Chelsea. It's not about money. It's about intelligence, building something. Time is the only thing that makes that happen. Having, and that's what makes our Everton such a terrible situation. That 7 years have been wasted, literally wasted. Apart from the stadium, but 7 years that could have been building, step by step, bit by bit. Sounds like New Kids in the Box. To get to where we wanted to be, and we've pissed that 7 years up the wall and all that money. There you go.
Yeah. Mark says Crystal Palace has good times, shows how poor ambition of the club is and how low standards are. Professor Poopy Pants says not much comfort, but it seems that the Chelsea owners are like Mashiri on steroids. Did you see the Barney Ronay article in The Guardian today? No, I haven't seen it. He points out that the value of the £550 million he spent on players is now decreased as a consequence. Yeah. We're not the only one. No, we're not. There's loads of clubs that just don't do it right, but there's got to be a responsibility to do it right at some stage, hasn't it? James says 98 pence of every pound is spent on players. Even with Selling Gordon was still in the mud towards P&S. Needs ripping up and starting again. It does. Josh is flying from Canada to Dublin today. I'll be home for the Fulham game. I've not been to a match in 11 years. Hope it's a good one, Josh. Brian says, I feel we need to score first to give momentum and belief to the team and the crowd tonight. Yeah. Andy Campbell's just arrived in Liverpool today. Can't wait for tonight. Come on, you Blues.
Apparently, in the fan zone, they're gonna have self-service beer machines.
Are they? Yeah?
I can't see any issues with that whatsoever.
No. Be interesting.
I don't know how that works. I mean, the beer's awful, but I don't know how that works.
Paul Gold says there does seem to be an agenda going on against us from the press. Is it because we spoke up against the media six darlings? Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Millsy said add a notification of £3.60 for Premier, which reminds me that it's an absolute steal. This guy's the amount of content you provide.
You are stealing it off us.
I'd happily pay £5 to £10. You can
there's other tiers if you want to pay it. Go and pay it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
very much. Hey, you pay it. Listen. Tonight will be an opportunity for Everton. That's the way to look at it, isn't it? It's an opportunity. Stuart Thompson says Rooney's a much better player than Kane. It's not even a debate. If I was picking a team with one up front, it'd be Rooney all day, every day. Kane sub behind Lineker. Fair enough, Stu. Peter Finn, Damari Gray's picked up an ACL injury. Is that true?
Who's that?
Damari Gray off Peter. Not Peter. Probably one of those things going around. Steve P says Potter at Chelsea was never going to work though, was it? Like you just said, he's a manager that needs time, and time doesn't exist at Chelsea. Everyone knows that, including him, so it was doomed from the start, really, wasn't it? But to be fair, he shouldn't be the one. He shouldn't be losing that amount of games with the team of play. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't done very well, has he? But Chad says Leicester's ideal manager will be Potter, ironically. You could be onto something there, Chad. Kev Rex says any truth in Arsenal looking at sick note on a cut price deal. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, what? Just looking at it objectively, why would they want to buy Dominic Calvert-Lewin if he can't stay fit? But football's mad, so you wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't put it
You'd
past
never
him.
say never.
No, football
he's a different option. But just right now, you would look and go, why would you be after him? Glenn says any update from 12 angry men and women. Ned,
he's here.
He's here. He's over there. He only had to do a week.
You have to
debend them
fully. Ned.
There's a couple of there's a couple of scenarios in which you're only asked to do.
Yeah.
So now he's done.
But he's going to write the book about it because he now knows. He's
the Ned was.
Oh.
It's going to be called.
Honestly, it's going to be good times.
Good times.
No, he's back. Staying over there.
Brian Farrell says, was just talking to a Spurs fan on the flight over. Says there's talk that their fans will protest against Levy before the end of the season. Levels, eh? Daniel Levels.
Hey, they've got a go-kart track, so they shouldn't have anything to protest about. That is literally the dream. That's the dream.
The dream.
I don't want to win trophies. I want a go-kart track.
Just get a greyhound track instead. Something to do. I know. But it would be good if we won tonight and move up to 13. Psychologically, that'd be big, wouldn't it? And then going to United, which is always a tough game. Yeah. But feel good then, wouldn't you? And then I start, like you say.
Full Stephen Dennis.
Three wins then after that.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Where's Adam Rowe in the... I mean, I don't know whether Adam Rowe's in the comments, but people talking about Adam Rowe. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why. Oh, okay. Because someone said Big Sam done a podcast with Adam Rowe.
I believe so, yeah.
And there was a few slide digs at Everton. Basic Stick says Everton have 115 media staff and can't edit out 10 minutes of dead air space in press conference.
That is true. That is... Oh, yeah. We make sure that doesn't happen. That's one of the things we make sure we do.
The Blues says we've won one out the last 20 Premier League games against Spurs. Yeah, I know that. So I'd take a point considering the gap between the two teams. Yeah, I mean, if we can't win it,
lose it.
Yeah, can't win it.
Keep some kind of momentum going.
Got to, yeah. Graham says winning tonight puts us over Wolves, who are equal games and as bad a goal difference. Yeah, Wolves are struggling, aren't they? See, we've got those 3 away games: Wolves, Leicester and Palace, which are
big games.
They're all 3 of them are big games. So even if you could just avoid defeat, would be all right. It'd be great. I think Everton are probably going to have to win one of those 3 games, though. If Everton could win one of those 3 and draw the other 2,
yeah, we have to win.
That'd be excellent. Yes, Jake, you've hit the nail on the head there. Stephen Whiting says the media is getting its ideal situation this season. Lots of teams in the relegation battle, plenty in the race for Europe, and the title race is undecided. Premier League will be raking it in. Yeah, absolutely it will be. This is the one he wants, isn't it? Gory says Tottenham will play without Shackles and win 4-1.
Who's Shackles?
Don't know.
Did they sign him?
I don't know. He mustn't be very good if he's stopping them winning 4-1 most weeks. He says if Conte would have still been in charge, Everton would have won. I don't know. Sam Edwards says, have you seen the Richie TikTok post? Anyone giving him a heads up? He plays for the team we're up against.
Yeah, he's for Everton stuff, hasn't he?
Just Everton and Goodison Park.
Loves it, doesn't he? Loves us.
I don't think he plays for Spurs, but I don't think
he just goes to work for Spurs.
He just hasn't had that connection because it's not hasn't gone as what he'd liked, so therefore you just don't have the connection, do you? Hey, you get a connection. James says it's Ned's book called Sliders and Sentences in St. Helens.
Talk about hand on heart, I generally sat there thinking I'm going to write a book about this because it was really interesting.
The only problem was his hand on his heart was there.
Yeah. He went hand on heart. Yeah.
Where's my heart? I don't know.
Right, what would... Without going into details,
the juryman is what it's called.
The juryman.
And what would happen in it?
It's just about me and my experience, and then about the case.
I think the problem is here, right?
Okay.
And I'm not putting you down, mate. You've done something that neither me or
I'm not going to write a book.
No, I'm just saying you've done something that neither me or Baz has done, and that's fair play to you. You can hold that over us forever. I mean, it's boss.
I won't be doing
fair play to you.
Yeah.
But lots and lots of people have done jury duty, and lots of people have done that experience. And you weren't on a big mad case. It wasn't like news media worthy. Nothing really came out of it. So ultimately, I'm not sure anyone would buy your book. I can't imagine seeing you on This Morning going, well, I tell you, as I said in the book, I had to get the train every morning. It was terrible. They wouldn't even let me wear my sliders.
I think you'll have to come up with a edge to it.
No, what you need to do. What you need to do is get your experiences, but put some fiction.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll make it slightly fictional.
No, don't make it slightly fictional.
Can't be slightly fictional. It has to be fictional.
100% fictional.
No, that's what I mean.
What you do is you take your experiences and you
build a story around
them. Make it a bit sci-fi or something.
I don't know how you would make it sci-fi, if I'm honest. I don't know how you would make a core
sci-fi with a jury. Cases about an alien.
This alien committed a crime.
That sounds like 1878 with the probes.
It does, to be fair, yeah. It does.
Can we talk about how Vince McMahon looks like Dick Dastardly? It's incredible. Have you seen him?
No.
I sent you the picture the other day. Did you know it was Vince McMahon?
Oh.
It was Vince McMahon.
Oh, yeah.
He sold WWE today, didn't he? UFC. Well, yeah. I mean, he still owns 49% of it. And everyone thought he was going away because
he won't be running it now.
No, he will. I mean, literally says he's going to continue running it, even though he stepped down because he paid off a load of women for the things he done to them. But it's fine, because in a modern world it doesn't really matter. You can get away with it. It only happened all this scandal only happened like 2 months ago. No one really cares anymore. That's the way we live. But he does look like he's like, if I'm gonna be a villain, I'm gonna look a bit like a villain. So
yeah. He's committing to it.
He's gone full Bill. Because I don't know if you noticed, but the picture of Bill from the accounts was probably about 10 years old. Incredible times we live in. Johnson says, I'll buy the book. It's cheaper than firewood. There you go. Bouncing back.
Incredible times.
Incredible times.
Right.
Hey you.
I'll write a song about it.
That's going to write a song
about it.
That is it. That's more your lane.
Juryman sounds like a Billy Joel song.
It does.
It'd
be interesting. I mean, James says he's gone from sellotaping his face to writing a book within a week. Change, man.
Well, I got on a train today and I went to Crown Court.
There you go.
And I walked through the doors and I found myself
in a metal detector.
I mean, really, you could have said
in Crown Court.
No. And then it should have been something about a thought, really, shouldn't it?
And I had a thought, I'm going to have to put my keys in the bowl. I've done it many times, but those were different circumstances, and I regret those crimes.
There you go.
Why am I a better songwriter than you?
There you go. There's the face.
I looked the girl in court and I thought I've met you once. I walked over to you in a bar and you called me a... I'm not sure if you're allowed to use that word anymore.
We're going.
I won't. I've got a funny thing.
Bye.
I'm thinking of a word.
Press the button. Bye, everybody. See you after the match.